Thanks for joining All Things Amy. I'm so excited for what we're making today. We are going to make sourdough bagels. Start with a half of a cup of sourdough starter. This is active and ready to rock and roll, but you can also use starter that has been in the fridge. All right. And then add 1 1/4 cup of water. One tablespoon of sugar. We're going to add 2 teaspoons of salt. And then give this a little stir before we add the flour. It doesn't need to be stirred perfectly, but we're just going to break up the starter just a bit and get that salt and sugar incorporated and mixed into that water. All right, I just added 3 3/4 cup of bread flour to this, and now I'm going to knead it. You can knead by hand, but I'm going to use my machine. We are going to knead on low for about 1 minute, and then we'll go up to medium for about 5 minutes. And now we're moving it to medium, and it's a much drier dough for the bagels than, say, when you're making a sandwich loaf or an artisan loaf. Okay, now it's getting the flour all incorporated, and then shortly we'll be starting to get that gluten development as it needs in the mixer here for about 5 minutes. Okay, while that is doing its work, we're gonna go ahead and get the bowl ready so that it will rise in. Just spray some cooking spray or put some oil in this bowl. Then we're gonna pop this in here and cover it and let it raise for about 5 hours. All right, this looks perfect. You see how smooth it's looking? I'm gonna wait for this to kind of roll together here. There we go. Stopping it. Beautiful dough. Right here to raise. I have a wet cloth ready to put over the top. But you see, this is a really firm dough, but also is very pliable. We're gonna let this double in size. It'll take about 4 to 5 hours. 4 to 5, not 45. All right, so I'll be back. And you know, you can make a smoother ball to raise, but I just left it kind of with the cracks in it. And as you'll see, it makes no difference whatsoever. So they turned out just great. Now we're gonna just divide them into halves and fourths, and then in halves again. So we have 8 of them. Cover with a wet or damp cloth and then let it rest for 10 minutes. Now you can kind of just watch how I do this, but just poke a hole down the center, and then you're going to just take your hands and stretch it and make the hole really, really big, bigger than you would think, because it's going to shrink back up when it rises, and then it's also going to shrink more when you boil it in the water. So make the hole much bigger than you imagine it would need to be. And I'll show you, you can see that. So with this recipe, you can make 8 medium-sized bagels, or you can make 6 large bagels, and just space them out so they have room to raise. Cover again and raise for 3 hours. And they won't be quite doubled, but you will see that they are lifted up and a little lighter and puffier. You can either boil them and get them ready to bake now, or you can put them in the fridge for overnight, which is what I did. And they are nice and cold and very firm, and they're easy to work with if they've been refrigerated. Bring a large pan with water to boil and put about a tablespoon of honey or maple syrup to bring some sweetness to the water, even if you're doing salty bagels. Drop 3 or 4 bagels into the water. Just don't overcrowd them, and just do 1 minute on each side. And then when you pull them out, I directly put the toppings on them while they're super wet. You can do anything you want: cinnamon sugar, everything bagel, onion and garlic. Today I did 3 cinnamon sugar and the rest, 5 of them, onion and garlic. You might be tempted to skip the boiling part, but it's what gives the bagel the chewiness, so never skip it. Okay, that's garlic powder and then onion flakes. And you don't have to add this quite as liberally as the cinnamon sugar because it's so powerful, the flavors of the onion and the garlic. But it's so delicious. And notice how boiling them made them bigger. So after you raise them, know that they're going to get a little bit bigger when you boil them. Put them in a preheated oven, 450, for 20 minutes. And notice that they even get a little bigger in the oven, a little bit of an oven spring. You guys, I can't even describe how yummy these were. We ate them for Super Bowl Sunday. Very soft in the middle, crunchy on the outside, and very chewy. They are so yummy. Thanks for joining All Things Amy, and remember, all things done with love.